Hello everybody, Dylan Cushing here, and welcome to another episode of Dylan's Disney Movie Reviews. Back in 1985, during the Gong Show pitch meeting, Ron Clements and John Musker pitched the idea of Robert Louis Stevenson's novel Treasure Island, which would have been set in space. However, Michael Eisner rejected it because of Paramount making a Star Trek sequel similar to that, but it never came to be. No matter how many times Clements and Musker tried to get Eisner to approve the movie, he just refused. Then, after pitching it again in 1989, Roy E. Disney made a deal with Eisner. He would let them make their Treasure Island movie if they finished Hercules, and Eisner agreed. And that was what I'm reviewing this week. Released on November 27th, 2002, the movie is Treasure Planet. The movie opens with a narration from the late Tony J.
On the clearest of nights, when the winds of the Ethereum were calm and peaceful, the great merchant ships with their cargoes of Arcturian solar crystals felt safe and secure. Little did they suspect that they were pursued by pirates. And the most feared of all these pirates was the notorious Captain Nathaniel Flint.
Flint's crew attacks the ship, and we see that this is a book which young Jim Hawkins, voiced by Austin Majors, is reading. Suddenly, his mom, Sarah, voiced by Laurie Metcalf, comes in and tells him to go to sleep.
Mom, I was just getting to the best part. Please.
Oh, can those eyes get any bigger? Scooch over.
So she lets him finish reading the part of the book where Flint and his crew stole the treasure from the ship and hid it on a planet called
Treasure Planet.
Then, as Sarah tucks Jim into bed, he asks her if she thinks anybody will ever find Treasure Planet.
Sweetheart, I think it's more like a legend.
I know it's real.
You win. It's real.
Nighty-night, Mom.
Nighty-night, sweetheart. I love you.
Love you too.
There are nights when the winds of the Ethereum, so inviting in their promise of flight and freedom, made one's spirit soar.
12 years later, Jim, now voiced by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, has become a troublemaker ever since his father left him and his mother. One day, he rides his Solar Surfer into a restricted area and is caught by two cops. Meanwhile, Sarah is working at the Benbow Inn, and family friend Dr. Delbert Doppler, voiced by David Hyde Pierce, asks her how Jim is doing.
Much better. I know he had some rough spots earlier this year, but I really think that he's starting to turn a corner.
Suddenly, the cops arrive with Jim.
We apprehended your son operating a solar vehicle in a restricted area. Moving violation 904, section 15, paragraph...
6.
Thank you.
Don't mention it.
Jim!
As you are aware, ma'am, this constitutes a violation of his probation.
Yes. No, I understand. But could we just...
Pardon me, officers. If I might interject here, I am the noted astrophysicist Dr. Delbert Doppler. Perhaps you've heard of me. No?
Back off, sir!
Thank you, Delbert. I will take it from here.
Well, Sarah, if you insist. Don't ever let me do that again.
Due to repeated violations of Statute 15C, we have impounded his vehicle. Any more slip-ups will result in a one-way ticket to juvenile hall. Kitty Huskow. Thus, Lamo.
Thank you, officers. It won't happen again.
The cops then leave. Later, while Jim is on the roof of the inn, Sarah tells Delbert that Jim has never recovered since his father left.
And you know how smart he is. He built his first solar surfer when he was 8. And yet he's failing at school. He is constantly in trouble, and when I talk to him, he's like a stranger to me. I don't know, Delbert. I've tried.
Suddenly, a spaceship crashes near the inn. Jim checks it out, and out comes Billy Bones, voiced by the late Patrick McGoohan, who tells Jim that a cyborg is after his chest.
Band of cutthroats. But they'll have to pry it from old Billy Bones' cold, dead fingers afore
Come on, give me your arm. That's it. Mom's gonna love this.
So Jim takes Bones to the inn, and he tells Jim not to let the cyborg get hold of what's in the chest and then dies. Suddenly, a group of pirates arrives outside the inn while Jim, Delbert, and Sarah escape and head to Delbert's place.
I just spoke with the constabulary. Those blackguard pirates have fled without a trace. I'm sorry, Sarah. I'm afraid the old Benbow Inn has burned to the ground. Well, certainly a lot of trouble over that odd little sphere.
Jim manages to open the sphere, sees that it's a holographic star map, and it shows how to get to Treasure Planet.
Flint's Trove? The loot of 1,000 worlds? You know what this means?
It means that all that treasure is only a boat ride away.
Whoever brings it back would hold an eternal place atop the pantheon of explorers. He'd be able to experience... Woo! What just happened?
Jim tells Sarah that with the treasure, they could rebuild the inn and make it many times better. However, Sarah refuses to let Jim go. Delbert then says that he'll go with him and use his finance to fund the trip, commission a ship, and hire a crew.
You're not serious.
All my life I've been waiting for an opportunity like this, and here it is, screaming! Go, Delbert! Go, Delbert! Go!
Okay, you're both grounded.
Jim then tells Sarah that this could be his chance to make things right since he keeps messing things up. Delbert then mentions to Sarah that she told him that she's tried everything and letting him go could be the right thing.
Are you saying this because it's the right thing or because you really want to go?
I really, 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 really want to go. And it's the right thing.
Jim, I don't want to lose you.
Mom, you won't. I'll make you proud.
Soon enough, Jim and Delbert head to the spaceport and find their ship, the RLS Legacy, run by Captain Amelia, along with her first mate, Mr. Arrow, voiced by Emma Thompson and the late Roscoe Lee Brown, respectively.
Ah. Dr. Doppler, I presume.
Yes,
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Stop that banging.
If I may, Doctor, this works so much better when it's right way up and plugged in. Lovely, there you go.
If you don't mind, I can manage my own plugging.
I'm Captain Amelia, late of a few run-ins with the Proton Armada. Nasty business, but I won't bore you with my scars. You've met my first officer, Mr. Arrow. Sterling, tough, dependable, honest, brave and true.
Please, Captain.
Oh, shut up, Arrow. You know I don't mean a word of it.
Excuse me. I hate to interrupt this lovely banter, but may I introduce to you Jim Hawkins? Jim, you see, is the boy who found the treasure.
Doctor, please. I'd like a word with you in my stateroom.
In the captain's quarters, Amelia asks to see the map, so Jim hands it to her.
Fascinating. Mr. Hawkins, in the future you will address me as Captain or Ma'am. Is that clear? Mr. Hawkins.
Yes, ma'am.
That'll do. Gentlemen, this must be kept under lock and key when not in use. And Doctor, again, with the greatest possible respect, zip your howling screamer.
Captain, I assure you,
Let me make this as monosyllabic as possible. I don't much care for this crew you hired. They're... how did I describe them, Arrow? I said something rather good this morning before coffee.
A ludicrous parcel of driveling galoots, ma'am.
There you go. Poetry.
Amelia then has Mr. Arrow take Jim and Delbert to the galley, where Jim will be assisting the cyborg cook. So Mr. Arrow takes them there, and Jim and Delbert meet Long John Silver, voiced by the late Brian Murray.
Mr. Silver? Why, Mr. Arrow, sir. Bringing such fine-looking distinguished gents to grace my humble galley. Had I known, I'd have tucked in my shirt.
Cyborg.
Silver makes Jim and Delbert some Bonza beef stew, and Jim meets a little pink morphic creature named Morph, voiced by Dane Davis.
You jigger-headed blob of mischief. So that's where you was hiding.
What? What is that thing?
He's a morph. I rescued the little shapeshifter on Proteus 1. He took a shine to me. We've been together ever since.
Then, as the ship is getting ready to launch, Delbert and Mr. Arrow head up to the deck, while Jim remains in the galley with Silver. Jim then notices some perps that are like the ones on Montresor, and asks Silver if he's ever been there.
Can't say as I have, Jimbo.
Come to think of it, just before I left, I met this old guy who was kind of looking for a cyborg buddy of his.
Is that so?
Yeah. What was that old salamander's name? Oh, yeah. Bones. Billy Bones?
Bones? Bones? Tain't ringing any bells. Must have been a different cyborg. There's a slew of cyborgs roaming this port.
Silver then sends Jim up to the deck to watch the launch.
Loose all solar sails! Brace up!
So the ship is off, and some giant creatures known as Orcus Galacticuses fly around it.
Upon my word, an Orcus Galacticus. Smile!
Doctor, I'd stand clear of her.
Silver then has Jim swab the deck. While doing so, he watches the crew members, one of them being Mr. Scroop, voiced by Michael Wincock, who tries to kill Jim.
Any last words, cabin boy? Mr. Scroop? You ever see what happens to a fresh perp when you squeeze real hard?
Mr. Arrow then shows up and reminds everybody about the rules.
There'll be no brawling on this ship. Any further offenders will be confined to the brig for the remainder of the voyage.
Am I clear, Mr. Scroop?
Transparently.
Well done, Mr. Arrow, sir. A tight ship's a happy ship, sir.
Silver then tells Jim to get back to swabbing the deck and has Morph watch him. Silver then meets up with the crew in the galley.
So, we're all here then. Fine. Now, if you'll pardon my plain speaking, gentlemen, are you all... Start reading totally blinking daft! After all my finagling, getting us hired as an upstanding crew, you want to blow the whole mutiny before it's time?
The boy was sniffing about.
You just stick to the plan, you bug-brained twit. As for the boy, I'll run him so ragged he won't have time to think.
Silver then comes up to the deck and Jim thanks him for what he did earlier. Silver asks Jim if his father ever taught him to pick his fights more carefully.
Your father not the teaching sort?
No. It was more the taking off and never coming back sort.
Oh. Sorry, lad.
Hey, no big deal. I'm doing just fine.
Is that so? Well, since the captain has put you in my charge, like it or not, I'll be pounding a few skills into that thick head of yours to keep you out of trouble.
What?
From now on, I'm not letting you out of my sight.
You can't...
You won't so much as eat, sleep, or scratch your bum without my say-so.
Don't do me any favors.
Oh, you can be sure of that, my lad. You can be sure of that.
Silver then puts Jim to work all over the ship during the song I'm Still Here, performed by John Rzeznik.
I am a question to the world, not an answer to be heard, or a moment that's held in your arms. And what do you think you'd ever say? I won't listen anyway. You don't know me, and I'll never be what you want me to be. And what do you think you'd understand? I'm a boy, no, I'm a man. You can't take me and throw me away.
During this time, Jim and Silver form a father-son-like relationship.
Oh, you having a little trouble there?
Oh, get away from me. Oh, Jimbo. If I could maneuver a skiff like that when I was your age, they'd be bowing in the streets when I walked by today.
Bowing in the street.
I don't know. They weren't exactly singing my praises when I left home. But I'm gonna change all that.
How you know? How so?
I got some plans. Gonna make people see me a little different.
Oh. Sometimes plans go astray.
Not this time.
Suddenly, the ship gets caught in a supernova, everybody grabs the lifeline, and Amelia has Mr. Arrow tell the crew to secure the sails.
Secure all sails! Break them down, men! Yeah, baby! Ba-boom!
Thanks, lad.
The star then turns into a black hole, and some strong winds come out of it. Amelia then tells Mr. Arrow to have the crew release the sails so they can ride the winds out, and has Jim make sure all the lifelines are secured.
Aye, Captain!
Lifeline secured, Captain!
Very good!
Mr. Arrow is blown overboard and Scroop cuts his lifeline, sending him into the black hole.
Captain! The last wave! Here it comes!
Hold on to your lifelines, gents! It's gonna be a bumpy ride!
The last wave then comes and blows the ship out of the hole. Afterwards, Scroop tells Amelia that Mr. Arrow has been lost and lies by saying that his lifeline was not secured.
No, I checked them all. I did. I checked them all. They were secure. I swear.
Mr. Arrow was a fine spacer. Finer than most of us could ever hope to be. But he knew the risks, as do we all. Resume your posts. We carry on.
A little later, Jim is upset about this, but Silver tells him it's not his fault.
Why, half the crew would be spinning in that black abyss if not for...
Look, don't you get it? I screwed up. I mean, for 2 seconds, I thought that maybe I could do something right, but... I just forget it. Forget it.
Silver then tells Jim something to make him feel better.
You got the makings of greatness in you, but you gotta take the helm and chart your own course. Stick to it, no matter the squalls. And when the time comes, you get the chance to really test the cut of your sails and show what you're made of. Well, I hope I'm there, catching some of the light coming off you that day. Lad, that's all right, Jimbo. It's all right.
The next morning, Jim wakes up and Morph messes with him.
Morph? Morph, knock it off. It's too early for this.
Ow! Hey, Morph! Hey, come back here! That's it, you little squid.
You little squid. You little squid, squid, little squid, squid.
Jim finds Morph inside a barrel of perps. The crew then comes in. Jim hides in the barrel and hears that the crew is planning to take the treasure for themselves.
I say we kill 'em all now.
I say what's this I say. Disobey my orders again like that stunt you pulled with Mr. Arrow, and so help me, you'll be joining him.
Strong talk, but I know otherwise.
You got something to say, Screw?
It's that boy. Methinks you have a soft spot for him.
Now, mark me, the lot of you. I care about one thing and one thing only. Flint's trove. You think I'd risk it all for the sake of some nose-wiping little whelp?
Suddenly, the crew sees that they've arrived, and they take over the ship. Jim, Delbert, and Amelia get into a longboat, but then Morph takes the map from Jim.
Morph, here! Morph!
Morph! Morphy, come here.
Morph, bring it here. Morph, come here.
Come here, boy.
Morph, over here.
Come to your dad.
Come here, boy.
Come on, Morph. Come on.
Morph.
Morphy!
Morph!
Oh.
Jim gets back into the boat with Delbert and Amelia, and they manage to escape, but then the boat is hit by a laser ball, causing them to crash land, but Amelia has injured her left arm.
Oh, don't fuss. Slight bruising, that's all. Cup of tea and I'll be right as rain.
Amelia then asks Jim for the map, but when he takes it out...
Morph, where's the map? Are you serious? It's back on the ship?
Stifle that blob and get low. We've got company.
Amelia then sends Jim to find them a defensible hiding spot. While looking, Jim meets an old robot called Bioelectronic Navigator, Ben for short, voiced by Martin Short, who was marooned by Flint. Jim then realizes that since Ben knew Flint, he must know where the treasure is.
It's all a little fuzzy. Wait, I remember. I do. Treasure! Lots of treasure. Buried in its centroid of the mechanism. And there was this big door opening and closing and opening and closing. And Captain Flint wanted to make sure nobody could ever get to his treasure, so I helped him. That ain't accessible! And reboot! And you are? Wait, what about the treasure? I want to say Larry. The centroid of the mechanism, or... I'm sorry, my memory isn't what it used to be. I lost my mind. I've lost my mind. You haven't found it, have you? My missing piece? My primary memory circuit?
Jim then tells Ben that he needs a place to hide, so Ben offers to take him to his place, so Jim tells Delbert and Amelia and they join Ben.
Pardon the mess, people. You'd think in 100 years I would have dusted a little more often, but you know, when you're batching it, you tend to let things go. Aw, isn't that sweet? I find old-fashioned romance so touching, don't you? How about drinks for the happy couple?
Oh, no, thank you, we don't drink, and we're not a couple. Look at these markings. They're identical to the ones on the map. I suspect these are the hieroglyphic remnants of an ancient culture.
Mr. Hawkins, stop anyone who tries to approach. Oh.
Yes, now listen to me. Stop giving orders for a few milliseconds, and lie still.
Very forceful, Doctor. Go on, say something else.
Ben then sees the pirates coming. Thinking that they're more of Jim's buddies, he calls to them.
Stop wasting your fire! Hello up there!
Silver then pretends to surrender and makes a false truce with Jim.
Whatever you heard back there, at least the part concerning you, I didn't mean a word of it. That bloodthirsty lot had thought I'd gone soft. They'd have gutted us both. Now listen to me. If we play our cards right, we can both walk away from this rich as kings.
Yeah?
You get me that map and an even portion of the treasure is yours.
But Jim doesn't trust Silver.
All that talk of greatness, light coming off my sails. What a joke.
See here, Jimbo.
I mean, at least you taught me one thing, stick to it, right? Well, that's just what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make sure that you never see one doubloon of my treasure.
That treasure is owed me by thunder!
Well, try to find it without my map, by thunder!
Oh, you still don't know how to pick your fights, do you, boy? Now, mark me. Either I get that map by dawn tomorrow, or so help me, I'll use the ship's cannons to blast you all to Kingdom Come!
That night, they're between a rock and a hard place, so Ben shows Jim his back door.
What is all this stuff? You mean the miles and miles of machinery that run through the entire course of the inside of this planet? Not a clue.
Hey, Doc, I think I found a way out of here.
No, Jim, wait. The captain ordered us to stay
I'll be back.
Woof.
So they take the pirate's boat back to the Legacy, where Jim goes after the map and Ben heads to disable the laser cannons.
Disable a few laser cannons. What is the big deal? All we gotta do is find that one little wire. Oh, Mama.
Jim finds the map, but then Ben pulls a wire which sets off an alarm, and Scroop chases Jim and more.
Whoops. Okay, don't panic. Breathing in, breathing out.
Ben then pulls a plug that turns off the ship's gravity, and Jim manages to get rid of Scroop.
Back you go, you naughty plus!
Morph?
Laser cannons disconnected, Captain Jimmy, sir! See? That wasn't so tough.
Jim, Morph, and Ben then head back to Ben's place with the map, only to find the pirates have captured Delbert and Amelia. Silver takes the map from Jim and tries to open it. He orders Jim to open it, so he does, and it points the way to the treasure.
Tie him up and leave him with the others till we...
You want the map? You're taking me, too.
We'll take him all.
So the pirates take Jim, Delbert, and Amelia and follow the path, only to find themselves at a dead end.
Where is it?
I see nothing. One great big stinking crank of nothing.
What's going on, Jimbo?
I don't know. I can't get it open.
We should have never followed this boy.
Hey!
Jim then sees a place for the map, places it into it, and then...
Oh, have mercy.
The Lagoon Nebula?
But that's half halfway across the galaxy.
A big door. Opening and closing. Let's see. Callian Abyss. Montresor Spaceport. So that's how Flint did it. He used his portal to roam the universe, stealing treasure.
Jim then realizes that the treasure is buried in the center of the mechism, which happens to be the entire planet, which means that the treasure is buried in the planet's center and opens the door to it.
Thousand worlds.
We are going to need a bigger boat!
So they found the treasure. Jim then sees Flint's ship. On it, he and Ben find Flint's skeleton, and it's holding something which happens to be Ben's mind.
Hold still. Jimmy, your hands are very, very cold out there. And...
Whoa! Hello?
Now that Ben has his memory back, he tells Jim that Flint's rigged the planet so nobody would be able to steal the treasure, and the planet starts crumbling, so Jim sends Ben to help Delbert and Amelia.
I am not leaving my buddy, Jimmy! Unless he looks at me like that. Bye, Jim!
Meanwhile, Delbert manages to untie the rope which he and Amelia are tied together with and asks the guard a question.
Is it that your body is too massive for your teeny tiny head, or is it that your head is too teeny tiny for your big fat body?
I'd pummel you good!
Yes, I'm sure you will, but before you do, I have one more question. Is this yours?
Jim manages to get Flint's ship working. Silver boards it, but then the ship hits a laser. Jim falls off and Silver reaches for him while simultaneously holding onto the ship, but he can't do both, so he lets the ship go and saves Jim. Jim and Silver head back to the surface, where Ben, along with Delbert and Amelia, who tied up the pirates, arrive on the Legacy, and they try to leave before the place blows up. However...
Missile sail demobilized, Captain. Thrusters at only 30% of capacity.
30%? That means... You'll never clear the planet's explosion in time.
Jim then tells Delbert to turn the ship around and head for the portal. Jim, with Silver's help, makes a hoverboard and Jim flies on it to the portal to open the door to the spaceport. However...
Come on, lad.
17 seconds!
They make it to the portal, Jim opens the door, and they make it out just in the nick of time.
Didn't I say the lad had greatness in him?
Unorthodox, but ludicrously effective.
After that, Silver is leaving to avoid going to prison and offers Jim to join him, but then Jim says something.
When I got on this boat, I would have taken you up on that offer in a second. But, I met this old cyborg, and he taught me that I could chart my own course. That's what I'm gonna do.
And what do you see off that bow of yours?
A future.
Look at you, glowing like a solar fire. You're something special, Jim. You're going to rattle the stars, you are.
Silver then gives Morph a job of keeping an eye on Jim, and he accepts it. Silver then gives Jim a handful of the treasure to help him rebuild the inn and leaves.
Stay out of trouble, you old scalawag.
Why, Jim, old lad, when have I ever done otherwise?
Soon, Jim reunites with Sarah, the inn is rebuilt, Ben is hired as a waiter, Delbert and Amelia have started a family of their own when the cops from earlier arrive with Jim. And that was Treasure Planet. What did I think of it? It was awesome. But it was a box office bomb. On a budget of $140 million, the movie made $38.1 million domestically and $71.4 million from the rest of the world for a total of $109.5 million worldwide, making it one of the biggest box office bombs of all time and got mixed to positive reviews from critics. Now let's move on to the production of the film. Like I said before, the idea of the film started when Ron Clements and John Musker pitched the idea at the Gong Show pitch meeting in 1985. But Disney CEO at the time, Michael Eisner, rejected it because he heard about Paramount making a Star Trek sequel that would be like Treasure Island, but it never came to be. After The Little Mermaid was released, the idea was pitched again, then a third time after the release of Aladdin. But the chief of the Disney Studios at the time, Jeffrey Katzenberg, wouldn't let them do it. After the last rejection, Clements and Musker talked to the feature animation chairman, Roy E. Disney, and he convinced Eisner that if Clements and Musker made Hercules, then he would let them make Treasure Planet. When writing the film, Rob Edwards said that he found it difficult to turn the novel and place it in outer space, as well as doing a lot of things to make it feel more modern. Because of this, they had to make some changes to the characters, like making Jim Hawkins into a troublemaking teenager. Squire Trelawney and Dr. Livesey were combined into Delbert and gave Jim and Silver a father-son-like relationship. For the voices, Ruth Lambert held a bunch of auditions in New York, Los Angeles, and London, but two actors the crew wanted for the film were David Hyde Pierce as Delbert and Emma Thompson as Amelia. When creating the world of Treasure Planet, the crew was given a rule to follow called the 70-30 law. This meant that the overall look of the artwork would be 70% traditional and 30% sci-fi. The look of the film was based on the Brandywine School of Illustrations and Illustrators art style and was described as the classic storybook illustration. When creating the characters, maquettes, which are small figurines of the characters, were made to help the animators during the animation process. They also used a software called Deep Canvas, which was made for Tarzan to create 360-degree sets. For Silver, the task with him was to figure out how to give a hand-drawn character a CGI limb. So they took an archival clip of Captain Hook from Peter Pan and replaced his right arm with a CGI robotic arm to see if it would be possible. The 70-30 law also applied to the music, which was done by James Newton Howard, and the sound effects. When recording the sound effects, Dane Davis and his team searched through hobby shops and junk stores to find antique wind-up toys and old spinning mechanisms, which were used to create the sounds of Silver's arm and bend. And now it's time for me to give my opinion on the film. In the end, despite being one of the biggest box office bombs of all time, Treasure Planet is still really awesome. I give it 4 stars out of 5. Well, that's it for Treasure Planet. Be sure to join next week when I'll be reviewing the Disney follow-up film to an animated series starring Goofy. And if you enjoyed this video, then please tell your friends about me, leave some questions in the comments below, subscribe, and hit that like button.
It's good to see the sun and feel this place I never thought would feel like home. And I ran forever, far away. I always thought I'd end up here alone. Somehow the world has changed and I've come home to give you back the things they took from you. And I feel you now, I'm not alone. I always know.